Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, which was a recommendation to us by Danner in season 1. Thank you for the recommendation. Before that, we were talking about audio and pizza and wings, and that should be a surprise to no one. Obviously, anything that typically involves food is a somewhat of a entertaining, I'd say, discussion for us, given the passion that we both have for food. But if you want to catch a wider part of that conversation, you can go to patreon.com/featured anime podcast. $1 a month to get you access to that bonus content. And then also we have some affiliate links for you in the show notes as well. You can always check them out. You can use our affiliate link for a Crunchyroll, get yourself a nice free trial or get a discount off some merchandise. Both of those are there for you. And of course, let's not forget about nice, delicious Tokyo treats. If you use coupon code Featured Anime along with our affiliate link, you get $5 off that very first box, and it helps us grow. And trust me, those treats are delicious. They're always so good, and I look forward to getting my box every single month. And if you want to help support us through other means, shop.featuredanimepodcast.com, buy yourself some swanky swag and help support us like that and look good too at the exact same time. And now onto the meat and brotatoes. Code Geass came out in October 2006, ran all the way through July 2007. Producers for it are Project Geass, Bandai, and then the studio for it is Sunrise. The genres for it are action, drama, mecha, military, sci-fi, and thriller and psychological. And the source material is no source material. This is completely original. There is nothing that this is actually based on. And it is 25 episodes long for the very first season. Now, Code Geass takes place in an alternate reality, in an alternate timeline, and the year is 2010. And what's happening is the Holy Britannian Empire has conquered Japan, which is now renamed Area 11. The story follows Lelouch, who is an exiled Britannian prince who's also kind of living in hiding at the exact same time. He is seeking revenge against his father, the emperor, for abandoning him and his sister, not only after their mother's assassination. He accidentally gets caught up with some terrorists and then encounters a mysterious woman named Cece, who then grants him the power of Geass. Using the power and his exceptional strategic mind, he adopts the masked persona Zero and leads the resistance group called Black Knights against the Britannian Empire, turning a Japanese terrorist organization into a formidable rebellion. Now, I feel like that kind of largely encompasses a lot of a lot of the show, a lot of the series for season 1.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, you don't really get too many. You don't get into too many details there, but yes, that encompasses a good amount of everything that goes on.
I mean, it's 25 episodes long, so I mean,
so there's a good amount that we're not covering in that synopsis.
Yes. I mean, if I wanted to, I could write a book and then tell you all about it. Be like a couple paragraphs, large paragraphs, maybe a chapter or two, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about what we loved and hated, what we felt, how we didn't feel, and everything else, and
fair. So here's what I'll say. I'm going to start off a little bit different than I normally do, not because I feel like I need to or that I feel like it's unnecessary. I think that this would be a good way to say it. I had high hopes for this anime. I had high hopes for season 1. I have high hopes for season 2. I not only was not disappointed, my expectations were blown out of the water. I absolutely love this anime, and I understand why it has been considered such a well received and high rated anime, and it has a lot to do with not just the artwork. It has a lot to do, far more in my mind, to do with the story, the plot, and the driving factor for the characters.
Yeah. To help clarify, it starts off in 2010 when the events happen and when we're learning about them in episode 1. Also in episode 1, it does flash forward to 2017. So I want to make that clarification. Like, not everything's taking place in 2010. It starts in 2010, where you learn about the beginning of our main protagonist's basically his Batman origin story.
Okay.
Just wanted to give
that makes sense.
I just wanted to give that clarification there because I realized I said 2010. It was like, yeah, but I know a lot of people are going to go, it doesn't take place in 2010. It takes place in 2017. It's like, I know this. But episode 1 says 2010, and then they do a time leap of 7 years after in episode 1 at the exact same time.
You get that. Actually, technically, the time skip is there. Obviously, they're not shy about it at all. It's very upfront in your face. This is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the the thing I really liked about this is you didn't have a dumb lead. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, the main character wasn't ignorant and didn't just fumble away. He did everything in his power to put himself in the best possible position, which was really great, in all honesty, to see a main character that used his brain, although being that he was a teenager and young, he did very angsty things and was very teenagery, which I'm glad that they didn't shy away from, right? I'm glad that they didn't pull away from that and make him a overall end all be all whatever. They made it so that way he leaned into that, or they showed him all those faults, and they didn't shy away from that, which was a really big boon for me.
Yeah, the way that they did this was, I'm going to say artful. I mean, obviously artful, but it was something I wasn't expecting. It was beautiful. It was well done. The writing, the character format, the everything, the duality that you see, the unease that happens. It just, I'll get into specifics in a minute, but I know I'm being very bland and very, very, very nondescript, but the way that everything just set up, whoever directed this not only had a proper vision, they had the time, they had the patience, they had the drive, they had the finances.
Well, it's not just the director, right? You have the entire production team, an entire group of writers and storyboard personnel, and the director is there helping it all come together. And you have multiple different aspects of it that really tie this all together. So, and in some cases, you can have multiple directors. So certain directors will take over certain episodes and other directors will take over another episode, just depending on the division and what's being done, what their strong points or viewpoints are for it. So you can't, in this case, you cannot attribute it to one particular person, because it was a monumental amount of effort and a large team that pulled it all together, especially for it being an original. Yeah.
Okay. Just curious, when by original, do you mean like it had no source? No. Just follow me on this one. Follow me. Like, do you think it pulls anywhere?
So when I said it's an original at the beginning,
yes,
I went in to clarify and said that there is no source material for this.
No. Okay. So what I mean by that is, obviously,
did they draw inspirations possibly from other anime? Yes,
Yeah.
I would venture to say they most certainly did. Being that this is a mecha, and the year that this came out in was in the 2000s, 2006, and Gundam obviously was a very large influence on this because of the mechas that are in this. That would be my feeling.
So that I apologize for sounding.
I feel like you're
like
just trying. I feel like you're like, was this an original? Even though I was totally listening, I just want to get under your skin. It's like, bro.
I mean, so I'm not gonna lie. A little bit of that was to poke fun, because it's pointed out several times in our career of doing this, where you're like, you never. But I apologize. But so the reason I was asking, do you think they're drawing inspiration from elsewhere, is given the time frame it was set in, like the produced and put out. I don't really see psychological thrillers in the area. Yeah, of course they pulled from Gundam and Gundam style stuff.
Right. Well, so the studio is Sunrise, and they are very known and well respected for a lot of the shows that they have done, like Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, but that was action packed. Ah, okay.
The Vision of Escaflowne, Outlaw Star.
Yeah, okay. This one definitely went in a different direction. Yeah, this one definitely went in. So I was thinking, shish kebab. I want to say, I can't remember the anime, but maybe I'll describe it. I want to say like Eden, something like that. Basically, someone had received an ability from a girl in a similar fashion. The colors were usually like very light and airy colors. They lived in a fortress, kind of sort of. The outer world was wild and stuff like that. Does that ring a bell for anything?
Run that by me again. What?
So the main character, the girl had green hair.
Uh-huh.
The guy that was her essential partner. They were trying to do something for the human race. It was a Attack on Titan-esque city where the outside world was wild and untamed. Do you remember that? Does it ring a bell for anything? I'm trying to remember the name. This is what it reminded me of. Oh, crap. It was super sad and kind of a drama more than anything else.
Yeah, man, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. I mean, like if you gave me some details, like, I don't know, maybe even character names, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't have any right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Of course not. Jack, no, totally. I got other ideas and things like that. It's totally blur, 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 blur.
Yeah. Crap. I thought I had it. The only thing I can remember is that the chick had long green hair.
I mean,
and
certainly yes, narrows it down. There's there haven't been very many anime with girls with green hair.
The second we stop, I'm going to remember it.
Okay. Well, anyways, as you were saying.
Sorry. I feel like they had, I'll have to find it later. Damn it. That's frustrating. I feel like the anime drew inspiration from, obviously Gundam, and then other more dramatized, animes, but I couldn't find any relevant anime like it, except for maybe Death Note. The 4D chess going on, the intricacies, the just almost genius writing,
right?
And I loved every second of it. The base premise is, as you said, our main character gets a power from this girl who is mysterious, let's say. Now, what I thought was kind of cool is they introduced the fact that she gave that power to other people in the past.
Yep.
And I don't know what contracts She operates on contracts where if you agree to something, she'll give you this power. She seems kind of immortal and crazy at the same time. She seems to come back from things that should have killed her with little to no injury, visible wounds, scars, except for one.
Yeah, well, she has amplified healing and everything like that. So, CJ says green hair maiden, so clearly Zorro.
No. Unfortunately, this green-haired maiden knows the directions.
No. So, yeah, that was one of the things that I actually really liked about the show was the main character. He was not one. He wasn't inept. He actually really was intelligent and very strategic. But then the counterpart to him was there to complement his shortfallings, and then also at the exact same time tell him he's a fool, that he's, hey, you can't be doing that because you have a contract. You have this promise to me, right? And
yeah,
I like that she calls out all his shortcomings and everything else at the exact same time. So whenever he does something that's a little bit out there, or when his age starts showing in certain cases, when certain events happen and he just starts crying or beating himself up or upset because what happened didn't happen the way he wanted it to, it just really helps exemplify that and make sure that he is able to, like, hey, did you think that this wasn't going to be a reality? Because you have to understand that this is the reality. This is the path that you've chosen. And at the exact same time, they also had in the series, I feel like a couple filler episodes that really leaned into him just kind of really playing it by ear. And then at the exact same time, showing his carelessness because he feels like he's being really sneaky, but almost gets caught several times while he's quote unquote trying to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, especially when he almost gets outed by a cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's just, why was that a thing? Why was that a trope at all? Where the cat was just always a jerk?
It's not that the cat's always a jerk. The cat was always jerk to Suzaku because that was the thing. And they even commented on that very beginning where he had said, I love cats. They just don't love me. They hate me. So that was, they had to keep that running joke going because of that one thing.
Okay. I mean, it got a bit old for me. That part got old, but
no, obviously, I mean, it's not going to be perfect. There's nothing that's going to be perfect, but at the exact same time, right? The show definitely shows the two different train of thoughts and everything that goes on. So you have Suzaku, who shows and has fully embraced the empire that has taken over them and has conquered them, and he is considered an honorary Britannian. And then you have everyone else that is, basically saying, no, we're not this. We are Japanese. We are still our own people. We are being oppressed and everything like that. So you have the two different fighting ideologies and different sides, which was very reminiscent. And you can say in terms of inspiration, right? The inspiration was World War II, because during that time frame when Germany was going around, they were oppressing and doing all those horrible things. You had a lot of people that were outing out their own people, that were there helping out the oppressive individuals, the horrible individuals that were there controlling them and doing all these horrible things. So in terms of comparisons, that would be like one of the major comparisons, especially since a lot of the works for Japan and anime has a lot of inspiration and draws on a lot of that inspiration from Nazi Germany.
Yeah, that was very, very prevalent in the whole series up until up until we saw so far, up until current. And it was, I'd say, tactfully done, because yes, you could make some clear correlations, but it wasn't anything offensive. You could almost hear the disgust in the voice actors' voices when they were talking about the 11s or when they tried to refer themselves as Japanese. And that was kind of refreshing how consistent everything was.
Yes.
And very humanizing when one of the characters loses their memory due to circumstance, let's call it. And they're like, I actually love 11. I love the Japanese. You're great. This is that. And then they gain their memory back, and they're right back to, I can't believe you guys tricked me into thinking that I loved you, and just the vitriol in the. You're like, wow, that is a cold-hearted character.
Oh yeah.
Which, again, the character was, but to show a separate side of like the what if, you know what I mean? Masterful. Masterful. What if you didn't experience the prejudice and the hate previously? Could you have gotten along? And the resounding answer is very, very easily. And as the story goes and as everything kind of snowballs, I'm not going to say out of control, but I feel like our main character kind of gets a taste for power isn't quite right, because he was originally the son of the emperor.
I was going to
say, I don't know what his number was,
but I know that
they mentioned that he was 17th in line.
Yeah. Then why'd you ask what his number was if you knew?
Well, because I didn't know what son he was, if there was any daughters ahead of him and things like that. I know that he claims to have been 17th in line, but
that right there is indicative of what you're asking. It's like, I don't know if there's anyone in front of him. There's obviously 16 people in front of him. If he's 17th,
I don't know how many boys are ahead of him or how many girls are ahead of him.
17 people in total.
In total, yes. But
16 people in total. Yes.
Well, technically now only 13, but still. Yeah. Well, he's real he's real brutal.
Is it only?
I mean, maybe one or two, because people somehow get revived somehow.
Yeah. So
Britannian, what do they say? Britannian medicine is so advanced they can almost revive.
Top notch.
What?
Top notch.
Yeah.
Top notch. Well, the thing is they even called him. He even Mao, the character you're talking about, even called out Lelouch on that. He goes, "Look, I was told to be shot. You didn't ask him to go finish the job. That's your own fault.
Yeah.
This guy, you walked away before it was done." And so again, which falls back on the faults, right? That simplistic ideology or the mindset where I don't have to double check because of this and that, and the arrogance behind it all, but then at the same time you have Suzaku, who his friend, right, who is going around playing I am the true justice, you have to follow the rules and everything like that, and this and that, embracing whatever it is for his own ideology. And then going, everyone else's is wrong, which again, that is not right either. Right. So you have, both of them on both ends of the spectrum. Both of them are fighting for the ideology and the viewpoints that they have on that. And then they're also going, hey, my idea is right, or this is the right way. You have to do this. It's like, well, if you're going by that mentality, if you're going by that thought process, in all honesty for Suzaku, a lot of what he did before was against the rules way before then.
They're hypocritical.
Yeah, and he is, if I'm not mistaken, he is called out for being hypocritical too.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Well, the thing that stands out to me in this anime is the duality. Everyone that we've seen, be it minor or major, seems to have a direct counterpart. Whereas Lelouch actually has his counterpart is his best friend, but the crazier he gets, the more the more extreme one gets, the other one matches almost identically, or they match because the one person went further than the would have been. And what I find to be just cherry on top, they're not stagnant at their extremes. There are, if you look at it, it's like a roller coaster or a sound wave that peaks and valleys and peaks and valleys. And they are opposing wavelengths that both peak as far away as you possibly can get from one another, but then they come together again to find some sort of common ground. And you're like, okay, this could possibly last. And then the cynic at me goes, well, I've still got 13 episodes, so it ain't going to last.
Oh, yeah.
And they both feel like they have the perfect solution. If you just listen to me, we can make it better. The problem is their solutions are polar opposite of one another. The end result might be the same, but the path in which they go, regardless of which one you choose, is bloody. Horribly deranged, bloody, full of hypocrisy that you have to unfortunately get around, because in order to follow your own words, you got to trample on your own words.
Yeah.
Like, well, whatever you're trying to do wouldn't make sense in the grand scheme of things, because like the way that they're setting themselves up, they're unyielding, unbending leaders.
Well, it's not Suzaku isn't a leader. He is very much a follower, and it just shows his mentality as a blind follower. Whatever the people that he chose to be, the ones that he wants to follow, he just blindly follows them, regardless of what the true intentions or outcomes are. He believes that they are the ones that need to be there for whatever it is, and he believes that their cause is right and just. Lelouch believes in his own cause and just, and his is more along the lines driven along of revenge and justice for what happened to him and his sister. Not even necessarily the other people, because he's using the other people. His is purely for revenge and justice for himself and his sister.
So let me explain why I say that they're leaders. One is very much one's a Britannian who hates Britannians and is using the 11s or the Japanese to rally around him and become his army for the 11s or the anti-Britannians. Whereas the other is very pro-Britannian, even though he's not Britannian. He's an 11, or he's, what they say, like a half, quarter, something like that.
No, he's not.
Anyway.
No, he's not half. He is just purely an 11, a Japanese, and his father was the prime minister. Now,
okay, so he's honorary.
Who you're thinking about is Kaylin, the girl who is half Britannian, half Japanese, and she chose to fight alongside the Japanese resistance. Yeah, she's the one that's half.
That she's the half. Okay. So I apologize. So his friend is the honorary Britannian, who is a symbol for the 11s or the Japanese that want to side with Britannia. So that's why I say they're leaders in that particular regard. They're focal points that each side raise up. It was stated that way. It's
not even necessarily that, right? And again, I wouldn't say he's a leader, because he's not leading, he's not anything. He is a poster child. He is
a rally point. Would that be better?
Yeah, he is a rally point. He is a poster boy, is what he is.
Okay. So one is a poster boy for those who aren't Britannian but side with Britannia, and the other one is a poster child for against Britannia. So with and against, they're polar opposites.
But Lelouch is a leader because he's leading a group of individuals. So you can't say, it's like, I understand what you're trying to say, but if you're going to get the analogies, it's like, hey, you can't say they're both leaders. They're not. One's a leader, the other's not. You can't say that they're both poster childs, because again, they're not. And no one knows outside of that group truly knows who he is, right? Other than that, he is not Japanese. Okay, so you can't say he's a poster child, because he's not. He's a leader of an entire group, and that group is basically the poster child for resistances. But he's the leader of that group. They've made this They stated that several times. He is our leader. He is the leader of us, of our group.
You know, yes, they said that he's the leader, but he's also the figurehead that people flock to. He's the reason they go over there. Whereas his friend is also the reason why people go over there. But I guess if you want to go put it that way, it still Jesus.
I wouldn't even say that that Suzuka is the reason that people go over there, because at no point did you ever hear or learn about people that wanted to flock over to that. In fact, every time you hear about Suzuka and the other 11s, a lot of them had disdain for him or were upset about him because he was either betraying them or caused them to have mixed feelings. And they had one episode where you had people that kind of had that conflicting notion, but it was because of what Princess Euphema did, not necessarily because of him.
Okay. So I guess the reason why I'm slightly confused on the matter is they stated that people are looking towards him. The 11s that support Britannia are looking to him as
the people of Britannia who are Britannians didn't like him. They hate him because he's
correct. Yeah. They were very anti-11. Yes. A lot of them were, but the 11s that were pro are true. But the Britannians that were pro Britannia, or sorry, the 11s that were pro Britannia flocked to him as a shining example of what could be achieved, like be an honorary Britannian and all that stuff.
But you never really saw any examples of that.
You just, the only example you saw, there was only one in the episode you're referring to. Essentially, you had a group of people going to the left and a group of people going to the right, separating themselves. And it was a throwaway sentence, I'm sure, but it stuck with me.
What episode are you talking about? Because the episode I was talking about where they showed not necessarily people going to the left or right. They just showed people like, here's
migrating
the clip.
Away from. Yeah. It was a throwaway that we're talking about the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just know what people were talking about for Princess Euphoria. When I said people are migrating left or right, I don't know what that scene is you're talking about.
I want to say it was a throwaway scene, and it is in the same episode you're referring to, but basically
where they're going to the stadium.
No, they were already in the stadium and talking about
the stadium that was full of people that were going to the new nation of Nippon.
Yes.
That wasn't,
that's what they were talking about.
That whole stadium wasn't people that were separating into left and right. It was a stadium. It's a stadium of just all people that were happy to have their own nation being given to them again.
Yes, but when that broke down,
where everyone was brutally murdered?
Yes. No. I mean, yes, they were brutally murdered, but no, it was slightly before that. I'll have to find it, but the only reason I'm even saying that he was a figurehead is because it was clearly stated that he was a shining example of 11s who sided with Britannia and wanted to support Britannia. And then Lelouch had people who were anti-Britannia on his side. There was a clear divide. They were talking about the ghettos being divided into two separate groups, and they were the figureheads of those two groups. So that...
No, after
I'll put in this.
You'll have to, honestly, because you're talking about after everyone was massacred, and you're like, yes, everyone should have totally been massacred. It's like, no, that's not the same episode. And again, it's people weren't flocking to them. In fact, they had several scenes and several instances where people were going and being eradicated from the ghettos, being moved out of the ghettos, being destroyed from the ghettos, and the people that were very pro whatever it was very pro getting rid of the 11s. I mean, like, you had some people that were there as honoraries or whatever it was, more so because they were using them for their own personal gain. But
yeah, I think it was in it was either in, where is it, the Bloodstained Epiphany or episode 22 or episode 20. I feel like it was episode 20 because the Chinese Federation was making not their move, but they're making certain moves.
Okay, so what you're saying is
it was prior to the massacre. Yes.
Okay. So
So not the same episode. I apologize. I thought we were talking about the same thing.
Yeah, no, we were not. And so everyone thought or assumed that they were Japanese in that episode because that was the portrayal they were trying to give. And the reason why they went out after him, again, not necessarily because they were following Suzuka, it was more so because they were both trying to prevent China, the Chinese Federation, from taking hold of the fort and fighting the empire, because then they would just be trading one ruler for another.
Trading masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not what Lelouch wants. And Suzuka is very happy with the Britannian masters that he has.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, Suzuka is very much, it's like, no, I don't need you complicating things for me, because it's going to be hard enough as it is. I want to bring everyone here and I have my resistance. And if we bring new people here, it's just going to completely destroy everything. So while it was a positive notion, it wasn't necessarily a positive reality.
Yeah. Just because it was good on paper didn't mean it was good in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and the progression of his power was kind of interesting. Like there was no subtle buildup, and you didn't see it getting stronger and stronger until, of course, it just boom, you know. And
well, no, so it eventually. So they talk about it getting stronger, but they don't show it getting stronger, and there's no knowledge about it getting stronger. You're told that Mao, about his particular set of gifts and how he's stronger, but his gifts are different. Correct.
She told him, when she's talking about Mao, C2 said, the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yes, but we never saw
never saw it getting stronger. Yes.
Yeah.
Any incremental improvement. Yes.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to say. Like, there was no real, if you use it 25 times, then it evolves kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just does in a interesting way. Now, what I found kind of funny is in his tests, he picks one poor girl and was like, hey, I want you to do this one task at this particular time until you don't. And I want to say up until the end, she was still doing it from the beginning, where she had to put a cross on a brick.
Yeah. Yep. And
what do you think is going to happen when there's no more brick?
I don't know. She'll continue going
more
forward.
brick.
Yeah, find more. I don't know.
But I don't know. It makes me think. It makes me think. If he uses his ability and he gives you a long-standing command, right? For instance, he gives Suzuki the command live, right?
Mm-hmm.
When does that turn off? And when does it activate? Because you saw it kind of sort of activate again later on, but not really. So my question was, is it a latent permanent command, do you think? Or is it a command that only activates when he realizes he's in danger? Like when he realizes or he thinks that there's no way out, that he has to survive. It's a death flag, if you will. Yes.
When he's in danger and he has to live, that's when it activates for him, because he's being told to live. And if he's being put in a situation where he's not going to live, he will do what he can to live. When that command was issued, Lelouch just happened to be in the thing, and so he, by proxy, was being allowed to live.
Correct, yes. But my question was, doesn't that make Suzuki a really difficult person to kill? Because anytime... Now, would it be something that's a legit danger or something that's a perceived danger? Does that make sense? Like, is it something that he fears for his life?
Perceived danger. Perceived danger.
So if he doesn't know it's coming and he doesn't see it as a danger, it won't activate.
Yes.
So the only way to really kill him is to make him believe he's invincible.
No, I mean, like, just because he's told to live doesn't mean that he'll live, right? And we don't know how he's going to enact or move about to fulfill that request.
Now let's take this to the logical conclusion. Let's say he's dying of cancer, years and years and years down the road. He's
Yes,
I know,
let's talk
but
about a fictional character dying in
I
a
know, but, like-
realistic, non-fictional way in a very fictitious alternate reality that is obviously in no way related to robots, scientific evidence of miraculous healing where people are on the edge of death or having cybernetics implanted into them in any facet at all. Yes, let's go to a logical conclusion of
a logical extreme,
whatever
not a
it
conclusion, an
is
extreme.
you want to fabricate. Yes,
Do you
let's
think-
bring real world logic where people can have cybernetics.
Okay. Do you think, to finish my thought,
Don't care.
you think that the command would actually
I don't
force him
care.
to seek treatment,
I
or do
don't
you think
care.
it would alter his?
I don't care.
Okay, so you don't care, but what do you think is the answer to the question?
Really, honestly, what I think it is they're living in a fictitious world where cybernetics are a reality. Obviously,
you don't think that, you know that.
Huh?
No,
What?
you don't think that. You know that.
Yeah. So what I think is I don't care because that is not the point of the anime. Why would I care
No,
if
it's
whether or
not,
not he
but
gets
it's a-
why? I don't care. I don't care. I genuinely about that portion of it. I'm not going to follow it to that conclusion because it doesn't matter. That's not what's going to drive the progress of the story or anything like that. Like I don't care if how it's going to enact or react to it because I don't know. There is no way for us to know because we're talking about something extraneously happening, completely, unequivocally unrelated to everything having to do with the show and everything having to do with what we've seen.
It has everything to do with
No, it
his
doesn't.
ability. It has everything to do with his power.
No, it doesn't.
Explain how it has nothing to do with his
How
power.
does saying this character years down the road after the conclusion of the anime gets
Incorrect.
cancer?
That's not what I said.
I'm sorry.
I
We're
said, how do
talking
you
about an
think-
anime. We're talking about an anime. And at no point during this anime, I'm going to venture out here and say that he does not get cancer. Right? I'm just going to go
Okay.
out on a limb. In this anime, he does not get cancer. All right. So you're
Mhm.
talking about after the anime, he gets cancer, and whether or not Lelouch's Geass compels Suzuka to go get cancer saving treatment in a world where
Kind of.
whether or not he would have that Geass in him, whether or not that faction or that power was implemented on him, probably, I would venture to say, highly likely, especially if we're going to talk about during the series, he would do it purely not because of the Geass, purely because he wants to get revenge for Princess Yuffie dying, even if that didn't happen beforehand, right? Even venturing even all the way back to before then, where before he met Princess Yuffie and he hated Zero and everything else, even before then, right? I would venture to say he would probably do that just so that way he can fill his desire of hypocrisy.
Okay. So to follow up my question, because that was just a lead up question that I didn't think it'd go all that. Do you think that if his
No.
sister were to have gotten injured, could he use his Geass to force her to heal herself?
No.
So you don't think that the Geass would be able to alter your own ability?
The Geass
I'm asking because I don't know what it is.
The Geass grants absolute obedience through eye contact one time. It does
Correct.
not grant you supernatural mega healing strength or abilities or a healing factor or anything like that. You just have to do what you're told.
Okay. So if he were to say to somebody who was injured to heal, they wouldn't.
Lelouch used his Geass against someone and said, "You are going to become a luchador, and you will run around wearing a luchador mask, wearing nothing but your luchador chones. And that is all
No, he
you're going
didn't.
to do. And then you will sprout wings from your booty cheeks, and you will fly off into the sun at the end of it."
But he didn't say that.
Suzuka didn't get cancer through the show.
They're not equal.
They're 100% equal. They're 100% equal because you're saying a fictitious thing about fictitious reality, about a fictitious show. And then it's like, hey, bro, I want to bring real world logic into this. Obviously, fictitious. Yes, because you said, let's bring this to the logical conclusion of bringing a fake scenario into an anime. Why not go for the all end, all be all, whatever it is? Because you're like, oh, if they told him to heal, they would then magically gain a healing factor.
No.
Yeah, that's what you were asking.
I was asking your opinion on it because I assumed, probably incorrectly, that whatever order he was given, he would have to attempt to the best of his ability to perform. But that actually brings me to a next question. Do you think he could use it on his sister because she's blind?
As mentioned, grants absolute obedience through direct eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How the hell would I know if it's going to work on someone who is blind and keeps their eyes closed? Because you don't even have to be blind for it to not work.
You have to have an obstructed view, yes.
Yes. So why would I know about that?
I was asking your opinion on it. I don't think you would know it because it hasn't been It hasn't been.
So anyways,
show just yet.
One of the great things about this show is there's also a lot of internal conflicts that a lot of characters also kind of struggle with. Along with the Black Knights, you also see a lot of characters that really bring about and bring together a lot of other people with different varying backgrounds. And then you see the internal struggle that really drives them through a lot of the conflicting ideologies that they have. So they struggle with their original viewpoints, and then they struggle with having to follow Zero, who they know nothing about.
That makes sense.
Indeed. I'm not going to answer any more questions in case you're wondering, because you're just going to continue to go down a rabbit hole that we don't have answers for, that we're never going to get answers for. And that honestly, I don't venture to want to know because it has no bearing on the show. I know you want to know, but no one knows the answers to the questions that you're asking.
Okay.
Do you know the answers to the questions you're asking? You're asking
No,
me.
I don't. That's why I'm asking them.
Okay. You're asking me, let me phrase it like this. You're asking me questions that I said multiple times that I don't care about. You're like, oh, I'm not asking you a question. I just want to know your opinion. I give you my opinion. But you're like, well, let me ask you another question. It's like, I just spent 10 minutes probably ranting about how I don't care. And you're like, well, I want to ask you another question in relation to that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes, let's continue on and make this even more annoying than what it needs to be for me personally.
Well, all I was trying to do is trying to figure out what you think the limitations of his ability is.
I told you I don't know what his limitations are. I just know what I told you. The limitations are it can only be done through eye contact. They have to do exactly what he says. No, I don't believe that's going to grant them supernatural abilities beyond that, because no one at any point in time said that they're going to be given supernatural abilities if he orders them to. And yes, I do say supernatural abilities because you're saying if he orders his sister to heal, will she heal? Who the hell knows, man? You're asking, hey, will you grow the X Factor gene and will she become like Wolverine? Who the heck knows, man? She ain't going to be Deadpool. Wade Wilson ain't a thing in this universe.
Also true. And if he was,
be a hell of a lot better.
Die.
Exactly. So that's your question is Wade Wilson a thing in this universe? No, he's not. Is the X Factor a thing in this universe? No, it's not. Are you going to get answers to your questions? No, you're not.
Most likely not.
You know, I have a wonderful thing, has compiled all these information and these notes and everything like that in there. And you can use it to search for all these questions. And if you don't get the answers you're looking for, I can guide you to some websites where you can go and try and find this information. And if all else fails, ask AI.
Well, that seems simple. I was hoping that you'd be able to.
I mean, when have I ever gone like, yes, let's go with an extra strenuous circumstance that has nothing really to do with the show and the question that I'm asking, other than the fact that this loose tie is what's going to bring the question together. When have I ever been like, yeah, bro, I have the answer to this?
I mean, you have in the past.
Not when you're going off on a super far limb and it's like, dude, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just weird different ways that you could possibly use the same ability. But according to you, they're only able to follow verbal commands that they're able to naturally complete.
Right.
Okay.
If you want to go with the extracurricular activity of it, you can watch episode, I want to say 22 after the massacre, to see what happens when you do something against your core beliefs. That would be what I say it is. That you follow the rule, but if it's something against your core belief and your heart breaks, you just give up because you're so heartbroken about what happened.
That was 23. Yeah. No, they do state that if it goes against your core belief, you have a harder time following the order, but you also, do you think she broke the Geass through sheer will? Because it was against her nature?
Probably. But it also probably killed her because of her, it broke her heart. What happened?
Okay. So I promise, last clarification. I'm going to try.
Lies.
Just hear me out.
Lies.
I'm going to try.
Lies.
In your opinion, with what you know, if he tells you to kill yourself, it would be more of a physical thing. Like you'd have to physically do it rather than create. I know they've done it with guns, but
they did it at the very beginning where multiple people did it at the exact same time. So why are we recounting this?
Well, we're not. I'm asking, it would be impossible for you to either have a heart attack or have a brain aneurysm to succeed in that thing. You'd have to physically do something to yourself, right?
I would assume that it would be, however, whatever the easiest and quickest means would be possible to you. Whether that be jumping off a building, shooting yourself, using a knife, running in front of a car.
So it's something you have to physically do. It's not something you can internally do. So it'd be an external force applied. Okay. Well, that clarifies everything else for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Could have just led with that question.
I couldn't get to that question. Usually you're able to lead me to that question.
You're asking me like, bro, if he has cancer, is he going to go heal himself because of the Geass? It's like, why would I care? He would do that whether or not he had the Geass.
Well, no, the answer you could have given that would have been a lot better is no, because it's not an external force.
That's not what you were asking. What you were asking?
I was asking, would it?
You were asking.
My core question was, would it force him to go seek service, or would he be able to do it on his own? And
you're asking about cancer. That's
I was
nothing
any kind of illness. I just picked cancer out of the blue because it was just something.
And then you're like,
it was the only
then
thing
your
I could
next
think of
question
that is curable.
Then your next question was, would it force would it force a person to be able to walk again if you told him to heal?
Yeah, and you could have solved that initial line of thinking by saying, instead of "I don't care," you could have said something along the lines of, "No, it has to be an external force, given what we know."
Well, how would I know? How would I know that that's what you're trying to go for? You're asking about.
I wasn't trying to go for it. It was something I was curious about because I wasn't sure, and you usually are sure, and I typically defer to you when it comes to anime stuff.
Well, I mean, like you were at the question, how you were asking it was certainly not that. You were like, "Hey, bro, can he become Wade Willson?" And it's like, no. That's exactly what you were asking. You were like, "Hey, can he be Wade Willson?" No. Well, what if he had cancer like Wade Willson? Will he become Wade Willson? No.
I didn't think about Wade Willson. You brought that up, and it makes perfect sense why you would. But I wasn't even thinking of anything Marvel with it. I was just thinking, what can kill you that is curable? And I was like, would he be forced to externally get treatment, or would his body fix itself due to the magic of the Geass?
So I mean,
the answer, it seems now, is he would be forced to seek service elsewhere.
I mean, like,
he'd be compelled to seek service.
You're asking. The thing is you were asking a question that he would do regardless.
This kid's depressed and he wants to die, so I don't think he would. Like, he's carrying the weight of his own father's murder on his soul, and it's been stated several times in the anime that he dives into danger without regard to his life.
Correct. However, after that's pointed out, he's given a purpose and wants to strive and live and give people a reason to continue forward after that. But before he gets the Geass. So I feel, again, he would be given a point where he would want to live. And the reason why I say that is because he becomes a knight.
Yeah, he does become a knight, but he loses his charge, and now he's hell-bent on revenge. So yeah, I think you are correct. He's not going to be able to survive to get cancer. I'll give you that. It'll be interesting to see what his survival instincts say and what he's willing to go do.
Right. I will tell you this through my research and the watching season 1. Geasses are all different.
Yeah, there are 3 that I know of because I also did some research. And yeah, they're what they say, they are individualized to the person.
So.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Anyways, we've ventured in and gone on long enough. In all honesty, I'll probably cut a large chunk of this out.
Most likely.
Yes. However, if, kind of is what it is. If you feel like you're ready, sir. Yeah. Let's rock and roll on a scale of up to 10. How would you rate this?
Out of 10, I would say that this is pretty freaking close to a 10. It's a solid 9 for me. Almost a 10. The only reason it's not a 10 is because the way that season 1 ended, it was very cliffhangery, very, very cliffhangery, to the point where it has a next episode, you'll see.
Oh,
so
God,
it wasn't a true ending.
No.
Huh?
I was agreeing with you. With you.
So yeah, there was no conclusion here. They ended the first season on a lead up to a confrontation. So if there was any space between season 1 and season 2, it's an uneven, it's a dick move. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's a crappy thing to do to your fans.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If there was no gap, then fair play,
Oh,
got me to watch next season.
Yeah, it's one of those touche moments,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, I'm giving it a 9. I had high hopes. It lived up to every expectation and surpassed it. I could not be happier with this season. Thank you very much for the recommendation, because this is one of the reasons why we agreed to do this,
Oh yeah. And despite our arguments and all our headaches and everything like that, I mean, like, whenever we talk about a show, enjoyable. It is 100% enjoyable. And I know half the time Rick likes asking questions, just seeing me squirm, because he's like, finally got that one button push in.
It can be fun. I'm not going to lie. It can be fun. We go off on tangents, but it can be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Also, real quick.
Yes.
Eureka 7 is what I was thinking of.
Okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I actually just found my PlayStation 2 games of that.
I wasn't aware it was a game.
Yeah. I'll send you pictures.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll mirror you on that. I'll give it a 9 as well. It was very enjoyable. I hated the fact that it was a completely open ending, but it definitely did hit a lot of those notes and all the shortcomings and all the downfalls of it. They addressed in a satisfactory way. So, yes, next week.
So next week we're watching Solo Leveling. No, I'm kidding. Season 2.
Yeah, well, season 2's not out yet. Complete at the time of this recording.
Oh no.
So
I'm at season 2 of Code Geass.
I gotcha. Okay, yes, yeah, sure. Why not? We'll do season 2. I mean, I am always a big fan of open endings and not continuing on in any fashion, obviously.
Yeah.
But yes. So yeah, season 2 for Code Geass will be next week's choice. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. If you feel like we got something right, something wrong, did too much justice, not enough justice, or anything else like that, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. All the contact information is available to you on our show notes as well as on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.